everybody, I just want to say welcome and welcome back to the Migrant Hope channel. If this is your first time here or if you are returning, my name is Charlene and I am the founder of the Migrant Hope channels. Now today I'm going to be doing something which is very fun, and a lot of people have been asking me questions about it, and I just said why not just film an actual video about it. So on today's video I'm actually going to be talking about the various high yield savings accounts that you can open and what to think of, what requirements you should be looking at before you actually go ahead and open these accounts with these companies. Now it's no preference one over the other, it's just kind of what makes sense, and of course I'll tell you guys the one I have, the one I use, and the one I advocate for. That's what we'll be talking about today, and without further ado, let's jump into the video. So the first thing before we even jump into like which high yield savings account either of us need to open up, the first thing you want to understand is what is a high yield savings account. So it's a normal savings account like every other bank that you may possibly have with, but the only difference is they tend to offer a higher rate of return for your money. It means that the more money you put in there, the higher the interest rate, hence the more money you're going to get out of it. It's just another form of investment, it's just another form of saving, and it just allows people to be able to save for a purpose or to save for some investment that you may want to kind of venture into. So that's basically what a high yield savings account is. So just a couple of things before I kind of jump into the comparison between the different banks and the different financial institutions that offer these accounts. The first thing you want to make sure is before you decide to go with either bank, either financial institution, make sure that they are a member of the FDIC. FDIC stands for Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, I believe. And what that basically means is up until $250,000, if you deposit up to $250K in the bank account, you have this insurance corporation that it's basically, it serves as insurance for your money. So if the bank, something was supposed to happen, at least you're guaranteed in a sense that you'll be able to get some of your money back, if not every single thing. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, you know, not only with the high yield savings account, but with any bank, any financial institution, whether it's a credit union, whatever the case may be, always make sure that it's backed by some sort of insurance, so that you make sure that if anything was supposed to happen, because people, it's a business, right? Banks are businesses like any other thing. Things can happen, and you just don't want your money to be at risk, because they use our money to be able to fund their own businesses. And the second important caveat is the interest rate earned on high yield savings accounts, 9 times out of 10 it is taxable. So what that means is you're going to be taxed at the end of the year when you declare it on like your tax form and all that stuff. Either you have to pay the government more, or you're not going to get much of a refund because the government may not have taxed that interest that you had gotten throughout the year. So just keep that in mind. I will talk about one of the financial institutions that kind of has a caveat against that for you to be able to kind of use it so that you don't have so that the interest rate, it's not taxable, but for the most part it is taxable. So the first bank that I'm going to be reviewing, or the first financial institution, is Ally Bank. I'm sure many of you guys may have heard of it. They are actually a full online bank. So not only do they offer this high yield savings account, but they have normal debit accounts, they have you can get a credit card, they have certificates of deposit, you can get a loan. So typically what a normal bank, what a BOA, what a Chase, what a Wells Fargo would do, but they are the same concept. Yes, they are backed by the FDIC, but the only thing with Ally Bank, it's extremely online, like it's a full service online bank. However, they do have ATMs around the country where you can actually use your debit card or your debit card through them, and they wouldn't charge you a fee. So it is a full service bank. Now, when I was doing some research on this savings account, I ended up finding out that this actual high yield savings account is actually a high yield certificate of deposit savings account. Now, this is extremely important to know, because unlike every other bank which I'm going to review, every other financial institution which I'm going to review, it is a certificate of deposit. So that means that your money has to be in there for a certain period of time. Now they have CDs. CDs is a short form of certificate of deposit. They have CDs that go for 3 months, 6 months, I think all the way to 18 months actually. So that's just something to keep in mind. So other than the fact that yes, it is a high yield savings account, but there's an extra caveat in that it's actually a high yield certificate of deposit account. Now, just some other things to take note about Ally Bank: they do not have a monthly maintenance fee. And another thing with the certificate of deposit is, because like I mentioned, this account is actually a certificate of deposit, is you have 90 days to fund the account. So let's say, for example, I want to open a CD that is a 3-month CD, and so I'm going to have 90 days to be able to fund it. So I have 90 days to put as much money as I want in there. Once the 90 days is up, you cannot add any more money into that CD until the full term of the CD. So if it's 3 months, if I start funding that CD in January, I cannot, once I finish funding it and the 90 days has elapsed, so by March, whatever money is in there, it locks that rate in, it locks that amount in for the next 3 months, however long that CD is supposed to last for. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. Now, the reason people may actually decide to use a CD over using like a regular high yield savings account is if you have a specific goal, you know that you want to purchase a house in a year, in 6 months, it's very, very useful for that, because you can actually not touch the money. If you take out the money before the full term of the CD, you actually get charge the fee, and you can check on the Ally website. I believe it's like $10 or something. Another thing to keep in mind with this high yield CD account is they do have an APY, which is their interest rate, what you'll benefit from. It's about 1% as of the time when I was taking these notes. With the current era and just with the way interest rates are changing now, it may have gone up, which I strongly doubt, but most likely it will probably go down, because that's really what is happening now, just because of the way the economy is set up. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then another thing before I forget is, I did mention that you, with Ally Bank in particular, you have 90 days to fund your account. But if you fund your account within, for the amount of money that you want to put in, if you fund it within the first 10 days of opening that account, they actually have you actually get locked in for the highest interest rate. So let's say I open it on August 1st and the interest rate was 1%, but then between August 1st and August 10th, the interest rate goes up to about 1.8. So you get locked in at the highest rate of interest if you fully fund the account within the first 10 days only. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, the last thing I would say about Ally Bank, which I found was actually pretty amazing, is with this CD, they actually have the option of like deferring it to a Roth IRA. And the reason people may decide to do that over just keeping their money in like just a regular CDs, I did mention that the interest rates are taxable, whereas if you're familiar with Roth IRAs, a lot of times the interest rate is not taxable because it is post-tax money. So it means that the money has already been taxed, so there's not going to be a reason for the government to tax you again. So that's a really nice caveat. So, you know, no preference. I just think it's one of these accounts that you can use for sure if you're trying to figure out, if you have a certain goal and you absolutely do not even want to think about touching the money at all. So you can go with Ally Bank. So the second bank, and the one which I use is my own of preference, is Marcus by Goldman Sachs. I've talked about this before. I made a whole video about how I was able to save a great deal. So one of the reasons, so with Marcus, they also have I think there's no minimum deposit right now, and then also you can only take up to 6 you can only withdraw money for only up until 6 times. But with Marcus, it is actually a high yield savings account. No, it is not a certificate of deposit. So up until the 6 times that you're allowed to withdraw money within your month, within your time period, you do not get charged for anything. You can take out the money up until the 6th time. I think after the 6th time they may charge you, or they may just say you're not actually allowed to take any money. Yes, Marcus is backed by the FDIC, and Marcus is actually owned by Goldman Sachs. And if you're familiar with the business world, Goldman Sachs is a huge investment bank, so it's a very reputable company. The reason I actually like using this, and I've encouraged family, friends, everybody who knows me, is it's a very easy site to use. One thing with me is I don't like using websites where it's not user friendly. I kind of get confused. I just want to go straight to the point, open the account and bounce. It's a very quick process. They have an amazing app as well that you can use on your phone, so it's also very convenient. Right now the interest rate for Marcus is about 0.8. Yes, I know that's low. It is pretty low. But you know, if you open this account last year, when I opened it, it was 1.8%, and it was, I think it was even higher before I opened it. So the reason being that, you know, because of the coronavirus and just everything happening, that's why it keeps dropping. And I've told people this, it keeps dropping, but it's going to go back up. So don't fret, it's something that's happening all over. On the contrary, if I was to see any savings account now that was selling, like, or like they're highlighting that they have interest rates of 2 point something, I'll be like, that's not legit, because knowing the situation of this economy here and now, I know that that's not a real thing. So the third financial institution I'm going to be talking about is Affirm Savings. So if you do not know what Affirm Savings is, don't worry, I just learned about it recently as well. So Affirm is basically a consumer financing company, but currently with Affirm, the interest rate is about 1.3. It is pretty high and it's still relatively new. I think they just opened this savings account in June of this year, so just a little over a month and change, you know, ago. So I don't know necessarily, because they haven't been around for a long time. I'm only now getting familiar with Affirm as a company itself. So in terms of my recommendations, I will not tell you to open a savings account with them. The interest rate looks great, which I definitely know it's something that it's key here, but I don't think it's the right thing right now. So I think that you should hold off on it before going. Maybe I'll keep watching the market and keep researching and stuff about it, then I'll let you guys know. But for right now, that's what they're offering. Not my preference, but you know, if you want the high interest rate, it's quick, it's easy, but I don't recommend it right now. So the next and the fourth one that we're going to be reviewing is called CIT Bank. Now they have a high yield savings account. Personally, I'm not very familiar with this bank in particular, but I did do some research online though. They are it works the same. It's a full online bank as well. They have several resources. I think they have regular checking accounts. You can get a loan, mortgage, all that stuff on there as well. The only thing I would say, I think right now their interest rate is 0.3%. I think 0.5. Excuse me, I was looking at my notes. It is 0.5. I was going to say 0.3 is super low. So it's 0.5 right now. Not the best, but it's comparative to what is going on in the market now. I did read some reviews online. People seem to have pretty good reviews about it. I just, for one, I'm not very familiar with it. And the only other thing that I absolutely did not like is, guys, I've talked about the importance of user-friendly websites. I got so confused when I was trying to like figure out, I'm like, okay, like, what do you guys actually do? Where can I get this information? And a lot of times, because I took some time to actually go through and research all of this, and I was just like, all right, I'm confused. I ended up calling them online because I was like, all right, I'm trying to open an account, but I'm just not sure what you guys do. Help me figure it out. If I have to call the bank to be able to figure out how to use the website, CIT Bank, y'all need to do better. So the next and the last high yield savings account is with American Express. So they actually call this account, it's called their personal savings plan or personal savings account, something like that. The APY, so the interest rate is 1%, which is relative to the market, right? Nothing too alarming, nothing too crazy. I'm sure you've heard of American Express. They are a big company all over the country. You know, they're very big on business travel. You can also get the platinum card, which I kind of want to get at some point one day. That's one thing too. It's a very credible company. Yes, it is backed by the FDIC, and then they also have 1% of an interest rate, which is pretty good as well, right? So it's just something to use. The website is easy enough because they do offer several services. It's just kind of like, it's a bit cumbersome to me, but it's not insane. Like, it's not too hard. So I definitely think that it's also another source. It's another great company that you can check out. Amex, American Express, is a phenomenal company. We all know about it. It's not a new thing. So at least I would even feel more comfortable knowing that, okay, at least it's some sort of a reputable company. So guys, I hope that that was helpful. So remember, we reviewed Ally Bank, we reviewed Marcus by Goldman Sachs, we did Affirm Savings, we did CIT, and then the last one we did was American Express. I hope that that was helpful for you. Remember, like I always said, the Migrant Hub, we are a resource channel. I provide you resources. I tell you what I've been doing on my own journey. It's not one over the other. Some people choose different accounts and some people go different routes for different reasons. I just told you what works for me, and usually what works for me, I kind of make my family do the same because I think it's always usually beneficial. You know, I'm always open to learning more. So if there's any other savings account that I missed, let me know in the comment section below so that I can definitely look into it and then kind of like do my own due diligence and research and maybe do a second video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you in my next video. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and bye.